Hey, I'm Chef Rich, a classically trained chef, author, and award-winning culinary educator. With over 2 decades of experience, I've discovered that food is more than just food. It's our greatest medicine. But here's the truth. There is no quick fixes, magic pills, superfoods, or diets that work. Welcome to a different kind of cooking show. Our mission? To inspire, educate, and prove that getting healthy doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. I'll share tips on saving you money at the grocery store, saving you time in the kitchen, and creating meals that everyone will eat. I'll expose the lies about food, reduce the stress about what's for dinner, and remove the struggle of getting healthy. If you give me a chance, I promise, we'll always make it fun, easy, and delicious. Now let's get cooking. Hey, I'm Chef Rich, and welcome to One Plate Kitchen, where we save you money at the grocery store, we save you time in the kitchen, and we make delicious meals that are easy, fun, and healthy. Now today, because the weather is changing and it's getting cooler, we're gonna make a super warm and cozy meal. It's like a fall autumn chowder. All right, so now since you know what we're making, let's take a look at the stars of the show, our ingredients. So today we're using potatoes. All right, the kind of potatoes we have today are russet. All right, we have our chicken stock because we're gonna make a soup today, a chowder. We have some sour cream, which is going to give a little bit of richness to the dish. We have garlic. We have some beautiful cilantro. We have an onion. Now we have these things over here. And I know sometimes you might not have ever used them before, but I'm sure you've seen them at the grocery store. All right, they're called parsnips. So it's like it's in the same family as carrots, but also in the family of parsley. So they're kind of related. All right, the more they cook, the sweeter they become. So when you taste it by itself, just like this, and you can eat it raw, you can kind of use them just like you would a carrot. So whatever application you would use a carrot for, like a salad or something like that, you can definitely use a parsnip. And they have like kind of like a starchier, more not as sweet flavor, but when you start to cook them, they come alive and they give you such an incredible flavor. So I definitely want you to try those when you get the opportunity. Now we have everybody's friend, our One Plate herb salt. I want to say thank you to guys who have been ordering some. If you haven't ordered some, please go to the website and try it. I promise you, you're going to love it in everything that you make. Now surrounding our best friend, our One Plate herb salt, we have a powerhouse of nutrition. All right, these are like the dynamic four, the powerhouses of nutrition. All right, so there's antioxidant power here, there's anti-inflammatory power here, there's vitamins and minerals all over the spectrum. So we want to make sure that we use these. And what we have is some cinnamon, we have ginger, we have turmeric, and then we have a little bit of nutmeg. And the nutmeg is also a powerhouse, all right? A little bit of nutmeg goes a long way. So we want to be really careful with that. We don't want to add too much of that. And then here we have some winter squash. There's a whole realm of different squashes that we can use. Or you have acorn squash, you have spaghetti squash, you have all these different types. What we're using is a butternut squash, all right? But you can use rutabaga if you wanted to, all right? So again, I want you to make this your own. Or if you didn't like butternut squash, but you loved acorn, okay, use acorn squash. Or if you didn't love acorn, but you loved rutabaga, okay, use rutabaga. All right, I'm a huge fan of rutabaga. I love rutabaga, especially when you roast it. It has incredible sweetness and flavor to it. All right, so now since you know all of the stars of the show, let's get cooking. First thing, onion, I'm gonna cut this thing up. Get this thing in here. Now I hear all these crazy things about, every time I cut an onion, I cry, and I read online that if I light a match or if I, sing a song, whatever, I'm not gonna cry. All those things don't work. All right. The only thing that would work is if you had goggles on. Like if you put a pair of goggles on, and then you wouldn't cry, but you would look like a fool. So you don't want to put goggles on. The second best way of doing this is just to cut it quickly. All right. What we'll do is just take it. We just peeled the skin off of it. Now we're just going to take it and just cut this. Now before this has a chance to get that gas and that vapor in my eyes where I start to cry and it starts to get irritating, it's already cut and ready to go into the pot. All right, so that is the best way of cutting an onion where you don't cry. Don't use all these crazy other things. Put it in the freezer, light a match, stand on one foot, say a prayer. None of that stuff works. All right, I know my pan is nice and hot. 1 tablespoon. Oil goes in. Again, all we need is 1 tablespoon. No more. For the whole entire dish, no more. And then onions go in. And you hear that noise? You definitely want to hear that noise. That's a good noise to hear. It's like music. For a chef, that's like music. Like music to my ears. I love it. All right, when you hear that nice sizzling in there, it's soothing, it's relaxing for me. All right, so I'm gonna let this go a little bit. Now with onions are kind of tricky. The more you let an onion go, the color turns. So it goes from that really white color, it gets translucent, and then it starts to get brown. All right, then it gets like really dark. All right, that really darkness it's really good. All right, but that's a totally different soup that we'd be making. That's more like a French onion soup. All right, so we definitely will make it on the show, but just not today. All right, but as it goes through these stages, like the flavor changes. So it goes from kind of really strong and astringent from its raw stage to it gets a little bit more sweeter, and then it starts to get sweeter and sweeter and sweeter as it goes. All right, one of the key things with making any kind of soup is I really want to develop sweetness in the soup without adding any sugar or anything like that. So I want this onion to really give me some of the characteristics that I know it has. All right, some of those characteristics are that sweet taste. All right, now I know, okay, it smells great. I'm gonna speed this along by just adding a little bit of herb salt to it. All right, I just wanna make sure that I get everybody invited. All right, I see a couple onions. The edges are getting a little too dark. Does that mean it's ruined? Of course not. All right, what that means is I need to call something in to help me out. And all I'm gonna do is call a little bit of chicken stock in here and just add that to it. And you can see the color of the chicken stock here. You see how dark it got? And that's just from all the caramelization that's happening at the bottom of the pan. I didn't lose anything. I didn't lose any flavor at all. Nothing's happening right now. I mean, it's cooking, but I didn't lose anything because everything is still in the pot. All right, what I did is just kind of helped it along just to prevent it from burning. All right, so perfect. That's in there. I'm gonna start working on my parsnips next. Now for these parsnips, you can see it looks like a carrot, and you just peel it just like you would a carrot. I cut that off. And again, the flavor, just by itself, you could definitely eat this raw if you wanted to. It has like a kind of like a starchy texture to it. It's not the greatest, but it's not bad at all. It's very light in flavor. But the more I cook this, the more it develops flavor. Especially if I was just to take this and roast this, it is like candy. It gets like a caramelized color brown to it, which is just incredible. All right, so if you get the opportunity, I would definitely recommend that you just roast these up. Cut them in half, cut them in quarters, and just roast them up, and I promise you, you are going to love it. All right, so I'm just gonna cut these up. And you can see all we did was just cut them into little planks, and then we're just gonna cut this up like that. Then I'll just take these, and just same thing. I'm just gonna go through and just cut these up. All right, are they perfect? No, they're not perfect at all. All right, but are they around the same size? Yes, which is what we're looking for. Okay, parsnips, ready, perfect. I want to check out my onions. And you can see in here, all that chicken stock is gone. It evaporated away. But what does it leave? It evaporates liquid, but it leaves me kind of chicken flavor, which is what I want to keep on developing. All right, so now I have like an onion chicken flavor here going on, which is incredible and it smells delicious. I want to make sure, again, everybody's invited to the party, so you want to make sure you scrape the sides of that bowl down, or that pot down. You get that in there. Okay, that looks perfect right there. Now, we have this guy. And this is our butternut squash. Now what I did already with this is I took half of it, I cut it in half. Now I'm gonna take this one just so I can show you how to work with this. Now this is gonna be a lot tougher to work with because it's a little bit more like durable. It's really, really tough. All right, so you see I have an edge around here. All right, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take my knife and just start to peel this right by that edge. So I just take it, slice down, and I just keep on turning it. So every time I make my slice, I just give it a turn. All right, what I'm doing is peeling this to get all that hard rind off, because that we don't want to eat or cook with. So we get rid of that. I'm just going to take this and cut it around. Then I have a perfect piece of butternut squash that's just ready to be cut and put in my soup. I'm also, as I'm doing this, I'm listening to my pot. I say, okay, plus I can smell, okay, it's getting maybe a little too hot. So what I'm going to do here is just, again, chicken stock to the rescue, just a little bit. I just want to make sure it's all incorporated in there. Now remember, this liquid, all it does really also is it helps cook my onion. All right, it kind of deglazes my pan, gets all that that goodness that's sticking to the pan, it brings that up, but it also helps cook because of that steam that's coming up, it helps cook my onion even quicker. All right, so now I have my butternut squash perfectly peeled. All I'm going to do to this is just slice down now. All right, I slice down just to make the cuts that I'm looking for. Now this is a little tricky here. I did a little trickiness for you. All right, I chose this piece to cut. So butternut squash has two parts to it. It has the upper half and it has the lower half. The upper half is a solid piece, so it's so easy to work with. The bottom half, where it kind of bulbs out, has seeds in there. So what you have to do is you have to cut that in the middle. You take a spoon and you just dig around to get those seeds out. You can discard those, and then you can start chopping that up. All right, this upper half is just like straight butternut squash, which is great. All right, so it makes it so much easier to cut. All right, so once I make my cuts that way, I'm just going to take it this way, make my slices, and then we'll get this into our bowl. But again, are they perfect? No. But do they look nice? They look good. They're not bad. All right, and they're all around the same size, which is good. And that's what I want. I want them to be all around the same size so they cook evenly. All right, so this is going good right there. Next thing is going to go in is I'm going to get my butternut squash in there. And this kind of dish it's one of those things that it takes more time to kind of cut and prep it and get everything ready than it actually does to cook it. All right, I like it, and I like making soups just in general, because especially on cold days when the weather changes, they're easy to make, they're comforting, and a dish like this, you'll see, is very, very filling. Because we're adding so many vegetables to it, you'll see that it's really filling. Or you don't need to add meat to this. Now, you can add seafood to this if you wanted to. You can add shrimp to it if you wanted to. If you wanted to add chicken to it, you could. All right, I just want to make sure I cut chicken pretty small and kind of just fold it in there, let it cook in there. So you definitely could add a protein to it. It also works incredible with beans. If you wanted to add beans to this and keep it completely vegetarian, you definitely could, and it would taste incredible too. All right, so I just added my butternut squash, and now I'm going to add a little bit more of my herb salt. You're going to want to get in there, just give it a stir. Once I add the salt in there, I just want to mix it in. All right, so this looks good. Now, I know some of the questions we get is, okay, what if I wanted to use pumpkin? We're in the season right now where pumpkin is a squash. So if you wanted to use pumpkin, could you? You definitely could. All right, would it be good? It would be just as incredible. All right, could I use a pumpkin like a puree? You can use a pumpkin puree, just not like a pumpkin pie mix. All right, you want to make sure, because there is a difference here. We don't want any sugar in there. We just want the pumpkin itself. All right, so that's in there. Next thing I'm going to add is my garlic. So I'm going to get my garlic in there and give this a stir. Now, you know, if you've seen the show at all, we cook garlic to like a certain kind of aroma that we're looking for. All right. I think sometimes people, when they get garlic, they overcook garlic. And what happens is once you overcook it, you lose a lot of that flavor. Remember, garlic is very delicate. It's a really delicate oil that's in there. So if I cook it and cook it and cook it, I kind of cook that delicate oil right out. And then I'm really not getting the flavor in there that I want. All right? So you want to make sure when you add garlic, you just cook it till aroma. Once I can smell it, oh, it smells incredible right now. Then I say, okay, it's time to move on to the next step. So the next step is I'm going to add my parsnips to this. We add this in like level of density of the vegetable. All right, so what does that mean? So if I was looking at all these vegetables that we're adding, I would say, okay, the hardest one is going to be butternut squash. And then the second one is going to be the parsnip. And then the third one is going to be the potato. All right, so I want to add them in that order. That way, once I add my potatoes, it cooks for like another 5 or 10 minutes, and then my soup is completely done because I know my butternut squash, which is the most dense, is already cooked. All right, so again, give this a stir. And I can tell by the color of the butternut squash how it's getting. I can see that, okay, yeah, it's starting to cook. It's starting to do its thing, which is perfect. Again, I want to make sure everybody is invited to the party. So I want to scrape down the sides of that bowl or the pot and just let it do its thing. Now I'm going to get my potatoes and just drain these. All right, now the reason we have these in water, I'm sure you've worked with potatoes before. If you don't put them in water, what happens is they start to oxidize, and they oxidize pretty fast. All right, and what that means is it starts to turn brown. Or the air gets to it, it starts to turn brown. It doesn't really hurt the potato, it just doesn't look good. All right, even if it turns brown, you could still use it, it just doesn't look good. All right, so we want to make sure it has that nice, fresh, creamy white color to it. All right, so we keep it in water once we cut it. And we'll just add that. Now, if I wanted to add green beans, I could add green beans to this. If I wanted to add broccoli, I can add broccoli to this. If I wanted to add green peas, I could add green peas to this. So the vegetable choices you put in there is totally up to you. Again, make this your own recipe, your own version of it. All right, we're going to give this a stir. All right, you can feel at the bottom of the pan, it's nice. It's starting to stick a little bit, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I just want to make sure I keep an eye on it. All right, that's looking good right there. Again, make sure everybody's invited. Okay, now come, like kind of, I don't want to say my favorite part, but it's very exciting to me. Is we're going to add these powerhouses of nutrition. And the reason they're exciting to me is a lot of people don't use these herbs or these spices, and then they only use them like once a year, especially nutmeg. Okay, nutmeg comes out once a year. They use it for the holidays, but it's so much more. I mean, you can add it to your coffee, you can add it to tea, you can add it to so many different things. And it has incredible flavor and nutritionally a powerhouse. Turmeric, another one. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to get everything out of the first time I use it. But what we do is we add it to a bunch of different things, and you'll see you start to build up all that nutritional value. Just having 1 teaspoon of turmeric is not going to be enough. All right, but when I take this and I add it with this and I add it with this, now I'm just adding more and more and more. Okay, now I'm getting what I need from it. All right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to break up some of the lumps that are in there, and I'm going to start to dust in my nutmeg. Same thing with my turmeric, and you're going to see this color that it gets, especially from the turmeric. It gives it like a really rich color. Ginger is another one. I love ginger because it has like a sweetness to it. The more you cook it, the sweeter it becomes. And then I have some cinnamon that I'm just going to add to it there. Then just from putting that in there, oh my goodness, I'm starting to get a lot of that aroma, and it's I'm telling you, it's wild right now. And we're just going to mix this in. And I want to make sure, and this was just with the steam that you're getting. Now once it starts to get to the hot pan, you'll see that it delivers even more flavor. All right, and we're gonna let this kind of just cook a little bit, because what we're gonna do is that hot vegetable that's all around it now is starting to get to the spices. Now the spices with that steam also are starting to open up, and they're really starting to release a lot of flavor. Now stock goes in. Okay, now we're just gonna scrape the sides down, scrape the bottom. Now with a soup like this, I can tell you, okay, it only takes 2 cups, or it only takes 3 cups of liquid. But that would not be true. All right, I don't know how much it will take. Because what's gonna happen now is a lot of the vegetable that we just put in there is going to absorb a lot of that liquid. As it cooks, it's going to absorb it. Like the potatoes are going to absorb a lot of that liquid. So I might need to add more stock to it. Now, if you didn't have enough stock, oh my goodness, I ran out of stock, that's okay. We can just add more water to it. All right, so don't think it has to be stock all the time. All right, if we ran out of it, fine, just add water to it. Now, all I'm going to do is bring this up to a boil. I'm going to cover it and just let it simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes. At this point, what we're looking for is for everything just to be tender. All right, so it could be 5 minutes. I'm going to taste it, see where it's at. It could be 10 minutes. I'm going to taste it, see where it's at. All right, I can't tell you that it's, okay, 5 minutes, take it out, it's perfect. All right, because everybody has so many different variables in there. How big did you cut them? How small did you cut these pieces? All right, so it depends on those things. So the best way to tell is you're going to have to get in there and taste it and see where the doneness is at. Okay? So I'm just going to take a lid, put it on, and I want to simmer. So I'm going to bring it up to a boil and turn it right down to a simmer. I don't want to boil my soup. If I boil it, the outside of this potato and everything that's in there is going to start to break down and deteriorate before the inside is even halfway done. All right, so it's important we bring it up to a boil, turn it right down to a simmer, and just let it simmer. So while I'm waiting on that, I'm going to start to mince up my cilantro. Now, again, if you don't want to add cilantro, don't add it. If you wanted to put parsley, add parsley. Totally up to you. So we're just going to chop this up. How fine, how big? Again, your call. That's totally up to you. All right, for me, because it's a rustic dish, I don't mind leaving kind of like some bigger pieces in there, so they don't have to be like completely fine. All right, so this, I would say, this is perfect. All right, it's a rustic dish. All right, if this was a very fine, if I was in a restaurant, I was making this as like a really fine dining, okay, then I would definitely mince this. But in my knife scales would be perfect here. Everything in here would be perfect. But because it's rustic, it's just for the family and some friends, just rough chop it. Don't go crazy. We'll take a look at this and we'll say, okay, oh my goodness, it smells incredible. And I know I'm gonna get emails that you say incredible too many times, but how else do you describe it? Send me some words: amazing, delicious, incredible. I'm kind of out of adjectives on how good this smells. So we'll give this 5 minutes and we'll be right back. Hey, Chef Rich here, and I want to officially introduce you to my one plate herb salt. Now, this is the perfect all-in-one seasoning that I carefully handcrafted to enhance any dish. Now, our proprietary herb blend not only provides delicious flavor, but also offers antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties for the health-conscious eater. Now, it's also packed with vitamins and minerals, and that green hue comes from the natural chlorophyll found in fresh herbs. To get some for yourself, visit our website. Okay, so it's been simmering for about 11 to 12 minutes, which is perfect. Now we want to make sure it doesn't boil. I can't stress that enough. Do not boil, do not boil, do not boil. It has to simmer the whole time. All right, so are you ready to take a look at it? Because it smells incredible. Oh, look at that. I wish you could smell. Oh, you smell the cinnamon. You smell the nutmeg also. It's really, really soothing. Oh, you smell some garlic too. I love it. Now what I'm going to do is add my fresh herbs to this. So I'll get our fresh herbs in there. And I checked right before I checked to see the doneness of the vegetable. Remember, that's the biggest thing. You want to make sure that your vegetables are completely cooked, but they're still tender. They're not mushy and kind of falling apart. And you'll see when we start to stir this, you'll see our vegetables still have all their shapes and corners and edges and everything. That's what we want. We don't want them to be mushy and falling apart. All right, and that's because we simmered it the whole way through. And you can see we didn't add any extra liquid to this, so the amount that we added was just enough. It's about 3 cups of liquid. And we can see this looks beautiful now. So it is time to start plating up. So I'm gonna get my trusty ladle here and just get in there. And again, this is one of those soups that you'll see when you make it, it's very, very filling. It's kind of deceiving because you'll see when you taste it, it's very light. I mean, it's light in texture, but it's so robust in flavor. Or it has so much flavor in there. But it's filling. Like once you have one bowl, it's like, I'm done. I really feel satiated. I feel full. And that's from all the fiber that you're getting in here and all the potassium that's in here and all the nutrients that are in here. You know, this is what makes you full versus going out there and stopping at some of these fast food places. Definitely don't do that. Let's eat this instead. All right, now it's almost done. But there's always sometimes some of the things that you miss is some of kind of like the creaminess. And we'll get some from the potatoes, but only if we broke it down. Because it's whole like this, we want to add a little bit of richness to it. So what we're going to do here is just add just a little bit, 1 teaspoon or tablespoon of just some sour cream. And that's all you need. You'll see once you start mixing that in, that's all you need. And you'll get that really richness. And it kind of rounds out the whole entire dish and makes it perfect. Now, come on. It doesn't get any easier than this. All right, if we work together, getting healthy and feeling better doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. And you don't have to do any of these ridiculous fad diets that are going to get you nowhere. All right, I promise. We'll always make it fun, easy, and delicious. And we'll do it one plate at a time. God bless, and I'll see you next time.